So this morning I was on a call with a law student from LSU. I went and spoke to the LSU law students, I guess about a month ago. I encourage people to follow up. He followed up. We scheduled a phone call. And so we spoke this morning. And I said, hey, man, how can I help you? And one of the first questions he said was, I love what you talk about in terms of motivation. And how can I be more motivated? Because I don't feel like I'm accomplishing all the things I want to do. And I want to talk about that for a minute because motivation is the wrong focus. Motivation comes and goes. If you are working when you're motivated and not working when you're not motivated, you cannot consistently perform over time. Motivation sometimes can be really, really high, and sometimes there is non-existent motivation. What's much, much more important to focus on is discipline. The discipline of being consistent rather than being motivated to be consistent makes all the difference. And as I explained to him, right, the single greatest skill in being consistent, which is the single biggest factor in being successful, right, is to do things when you don't feel like doing it. When you're highly motivated, you come off of a speech or a seminar, or you met someone who just inspired you, it's easy to go do those things, right? It's not uncomfortable because it's easy. But you don't do it when it is uncomfortable, when you're not motivated. So developing the discipline to be consistent is critical to your success. Now, how do you develop discipline to be consistent? Well, discipline is about momentum. Discipline is about if I consistently do things that require me to step outside my comfort zone, that require me to do things whether I like it or not, and I force myself to do it, and I can develop habits, positive habits, that make it easier for me to do those things consistently, right? For example, once you work out after a couple of months, don't you kind of crave it, right? Don't you get dressed in a certain way, drink your drink a certain way, create your shake, etc. Once it becomes easier and it becomes habitual, you do it kind of without thinking. Isn't it easier to do it consistently? So being disciplined and doing it consistently over time until it becomes a routine makes it all the more likely that you're going to do it. But I posted my routines in the morning, right? I wake up, cold shower, weigh myself, Duolingo. I put my face in ice water. I lay on a spike mat. I write a certain amount of notes. I do a journal. I do a grateful list and a positive list. I eat sardines. I take my vitamins. I hydrate, right? I make my bed, etc. I focus practice. All of those things I do habitually now. I do them every day, whether I like to do it or not. Many, many times I ain't feeling like sardines, right? As I used this morning, I said, I left this morning, or I was about to leave. I brushed my teeth. I'm about to walk out the door. I hadn't eaten my sardines. You know what? I'll do it tomorrow, whatever. And I caught myself because I know that discipline has momentum both ways. If I'm saying, screw it, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'm much more likely to say, screw it, I'll do it tomorrow on other things that are important to my regimen and to my discipline, for things that are important to my mental health, my physical health, the things I want to accomplish in work, the things I want to accomplish with my family. And so because it's routine and I think about it and I talk about it and I write about it and it's something I've done over time, I caught myself, boy, man, I know I don't feel like going and, eating those sardines again and brushing my teeth, doing whatever, but I did it. Now that makes it more likely that I will stick to my other routines, my other disciplines, my other schedule. If I had said, screw it, it makes it more likely that I say screw it on other stuff, right? I'm sorry. There is no such thing as I'm going to do the big things and I'm not going to do the small things. Everything matters. And when I explained that to him, he said, I really want to do that. And I said, one of the other things that is required as part of your discipline is to listen to how you talk to yourself. And now I've caught myself when I say things like, well, I'll try, or I really want to do that. Those are passive words that acknowledge the importance of what it is without you committing to doing it. Yeah, that's good to hear. I really want to do those things. So you're complimenting what I've said, acknowledging that it's important and that what I've said is learned and knowledgeable. But saying I want to do it allows you to push it off into the future. I'll really try to do that. I want to do that. That's really good to hear. Again, you're trying to compliment and appreciate what you're being told without committing to doing it. Instead, that's really good to hear. I'm going to do that. Even better, I'm going to do that tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. when I wake up. That is an active statement that makes it infinitely more likely that you're going to do that. And conversely, owning that you're not going to do it makes it much more likely that you will do it in the future. Constantly putting it off and not having to pull the trigger, yes or no. What did Yoda say? Try, or do not. Do not try, or whatever he said in that very accurate impression. But it's true. I don't like cold showers. I don't like cold stuff. I'm not going to do that. Makes it much more likely in the future as you develop your discipline and your habits and your routines and you strengthen yourself that you'll do it. Compared to, I don't like cold showers, but maybe I'll try it in the future. I really want to be able to take cold showers. You'll never get to the point of actually pulling the trigger or not. You'll feel better about yourself, potentially, that allows you to kick it down the road. But those kinds of consistent stepping outside your comfort zone, consistent owning, I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. That kind of discipline to not let yourself slide on the small stuff, because there is no small stuff. That kind of discipline to know that if I'm going to do something here, it's going to help me in all these other areas. Plus, if I'm not going to do it here, it's going to hurt me in all these areas, was what I was trying to convey to him. Because at bottom, he wanted to know how to be a good lawyer down the road, how to make money, how to be successful, how to get the right job, how to, win, be happy, etc. And what we don't understand is that the foundational things about discipline, about choices, about language on a day-to-day basis are critically important, much, much more important than meeting the right person, being lucky, getting the right case, etc. Excellence in anything is primarily a function of mostly ordinary behavior done consistently over time to develop good habits that you put together with other good habits to become excellent in your business, in your family, in your relationships, in your relationship with yourself, in your mental and physical health. It ain't sexy, ain't damn interesting, but it is absolutely the secret sauce. If you need any more information, reach out. My info's in the bio or the video description.